So get on a shrimp train, ride with him. He'll
Hey,
stand up.
60K. You Russ talking with you on a Friday morning. Happy Friday. You made it the last day of the week. Phone line 928-344-5258. Uh, convention, Republican conventions. I guess I heard it a while ago that there was a possibility of a midterm Republican convention, which is not done. I think it was a Trump idea that came out to help bolster some of the get out the vote type attitude. The conventions during the presidential elections always get a little bit of attention, and as we know, during the presidential elections, we have higher turnout, we have higher voter turnout. So his idea is having conventions. I don't know how that would work. The reason behind the conventions starts uh, being able to select a presidential candidate. Parties would select them, and in our history, quite often that's usually where um, the rubber meets the road, and they really select them. Now the conventions are more ceremonial. We know before the convention who the presidential um, contenders are going to be for the parties. We would generally know. In years past, it took many votes from the floor. Many votes from the different states that had delegates from the floor to come to some conclusion on who it's going to be. I mean, during Lincoln's time, he didn't. He was the number three on the first vote. He came in third. The top two contenders, the two favorites, um, didn't like each other that much. They ended up, their delegates ended up going to Lincoln before they would go to the others. So we ended up with Lincoln at that convention, which turned out to be very historic and very very much changing for our republic and how it turned out. Obviously slavery was a big deal, and Lincoln being anti-slavery, it was the first Republican president. But that's not now. Now it's you know we have 24-hour news coverage. We know who's winning the votes in the states, and electoral colleges are counted state by state as they come up. We always know where they stand, and we have a majority of electoral college votes for a single candidate long before the convention even arrives. It's still a good thing for the parties, to get the platforms out, get the support out, and rally. Well, why not do that at midterm? I'm curious as what the what the rationale is behind it, and how the delegates are chosen and all that, and each state sends delegates to those things to vote, but there's not going to be a vote. I don't think. I don't know what they'll come up with, but uh, it's it may happen. It probably will happen. The Republican National Committees work taking steps right now, moving forward to get that done. They haven't yet chose a venue, but they got a list of 5 possibilities. Now, one of them would be Las Vegas. And keep in mind that the reason that they're doing this is to get the vote out and to get the excitement in the party and to keep in the forefront of potential voters in order to help push voting for Republican candidates. Well, here's a possible. They call it a possible list. Uh, Knowing they want to get the vote out, knowing it's probably going to be a state that is a battleground state to help with that, and where it's going to do the most help. Las Vegas, Nevada was one of them. There's Trump won Nevada in 24. It's still a swing state, not a big state, but of course, no matter which state you go to, there's 49 that didn't get it. So it's going to be a national televised, I'm sure, national recognition is the point. But Nevada, they think will play a role in the 26 midterm. Las Vegas. That would be nearby. I don't know what the criteria would be to go to it, though. I went to a national convention in 2016 in Ohio, Cleveland, as a guest. I wasn't a delegate, I was a guest. Um, but I was invited each delegate gets one guest, that's it. I was invited to go to that. It was a wonderful experience. Um, Dallas, Texas was another one. Dallas, Texas red, but we're just redistrict, and they're looking to add 5 seats to the Republicans, when they gerrymander things for them. So that would make sense, and they want to make sure that John Cochran's seat is secure. Who's that's Senator John Cochran, and stays there. That would be good. Phoenix, Arizona, which I'd like to see also. It's the 5th most populous city, which it's Phoenix Metro. I'm sure is what they're counting. Glendale, Scottsdale, and all the towns around. That just kind of form one big mass. Just like Denver. Denver's only 500,000 people, but when you start including all the other towns around it, as one, it's massive. But they want to win back control of Arizona's governor's office in the midterms, as well as defend a handful of GOP-controlled House seats. And we got some House seats that are not given. Ciscomani is one of them. That it's tight. It's tight, and that would be very helpful. Detroit, Michigan, which was a surprise. Looking at the governor's office, and it's a swing state, but I don't know. Atlanta, Georgia. So Senator John Ossoff is a vulnerable. That's a Democrat seeking re-election, also defending the governor's office. So be interested to see what they come up with as this gets closer. And these things are hard to put together, conventions and everything. I imagine they work on it for a couple of years to put the ones together. Trump doesn't work that way. He gives you a couple of weeks. I guess he said, "Get it together. You know what you're doing. Get this thing done." And he seems to be doing well, whether it's construction or whatever it is. He seems to be able to get that done. It's just amazing what he did in the White House. I don't think it was talked about much, but he rewired and replumbed the White House before he moved in, and brought his own crews in to do it. And they worked 24 hours. Got the shifts right around the clock. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Morning, Russ.
Well, good morning, sir.
So, naming the new Fed chair,
Yeah.
is that in anticipation of Powell completing his tenure and leaving on time, or is Trump now moving to get him out?
No, his term expires in May. It's gone. In May.
Okay, so he's announcing someone today. Is today's
Kevin Warsh.
announcement?
Yeah, Kevin Warsh.
I'm not asking who.
Yeah.
I'm asking, is it because Powell will be leaving on his normal time frame in May, or is Trump pushing things along a little bit to get him out now and get someone else in?
I don't think pushing him out is even possible. I mean, there's already been a locking of horns. There's lawsuits against Jerome Powell right now. They're not lawsuits, but they're investigating him for possible prosecution. I think on the spending, the crazy spending that went on the new buildings for the feds, which was billions of dollars.
The new Taj Mahal.
Yeah, man.
Palace.
It's just hard to imagine they do that for a building. I mean, just an office space that has fountains in it and all kinds of stuff, all kinds of cost overruns, which kind of torqued off the builder Trump.
Sure, the ruling class that is flaunting their power and their wealth and basically telling Trump, giving him the middle finger and saying, "You can't do anything about it, buddy."
Yeah,
what are you going to do?
Well, he's making his life miserable. I mean, getting investigated is not a fun deal, and I'm sure. I mean, it's the first time I ever saw a motion from Powell.
Money on attorneys and specialists and whatnot. I'm sure. But I was just hoping that Trump was getting him out now. But as you say, he probably doesn't have that power. I know he
Yeah.
can't even pick anyone he wants. He has to pick
He
from the recommended candidates.
probably, but I would say that he probably controls the people that recommend knowing Trump.
Mhm.
I don't know exactly where those recommendations come from.
They
Of
come
course,
from the Fed itself.
okay. Well, the
If you
Feds.
research it,
Okay,
he's not allowed to just pick anyone out of a hat. He can't pick one of his buddies. He can't pick someone who he owes favors to.
all right.
He is given a list, a short list, and he has to pick from one of them.
Well, this guy he picked is critical of the Fed's decisions. I mean, he's not been
Sure,
happy with Powell, so it's an
that's why.
obvious for Trump, maybe.
Sure, and that's why I was hoping it was moving things along a little bit ahead of schedule. Is all.
I don't think he can, or he would have. I mean, he can fire him. It's been done, but it
Correct.
creates a backlash. It
Yeah.
would be undesirable.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, that's what I was wondering is if you'd heard something I hadn't, that maybe he was going to fire him and
Of
get his guy in early.
course, Mike, there's no way to know exactly what Trump's going to do, so anything's possible. Uh, he surprises people all the time. Maybe himself, I don't know, but he does. He thinks differently than most, and he's very effective. Very effective,
Yeah.
and
He's
and
good at what he does.
there's people that just hate his guts for it, and just can't keep up with it all.
That's what they call TBS, buddy. You
Yeah.
know all about that.
Me too.
All right.
All right,
I'll
buddy.
let you on.
Take care, man.
Bye.
Bye-bye. It's Mad Mike with a good question. Um, it's well known that Trump had no love for Jerome Powell, although Trump hired Powell originally. Trump put him in there, uh, but obviously he was dissatisfied with the decisions Powell's made, and he has made it very well known that he disagreed with Powell's decision to keep the rates higher. And there was that thing during the election where when he was up against Biden, this last election, that he was lowering the rates when nobody thought it was necessary. Nobody thought it made sense. It didn't hit any rational reason. And then Powell has kept the interest rates up around 4.25, 4.5. When a time when it made sense to bring it down, but he claimed that he still wasn't sure the impact of the tariffs. That was the claim. And tariffs ended up being a positive impact. Even his critics have come out and said they were wrong about the tariffs impact. That's why you don't hear a lot of noise about them anymore from mainstream media. They don't know what to say about it. It's confusing to them that it seems to be working in the favor of the United States and in favor of our economy. So it confuses people. But he put on Truth Social. He says, "I have known Kevin for a long time and have no doubt that he will go down as one of the great Fed chairmen, maybe the best. On top of everything else, he is central casting, and he will never let you down. Congratulations, Kevin." Now, he still has to go through a confirmation in the Senate. And the article I read this morning about it reminds everyone that it is the most powerful position in the United States as far as economic policy making, direct influence over interest rates, decisions on central banks' battle against inflation. The Federal Reserve sets the borrowing cost and shapes inflation, wields enormous influence on everyday Americans' affordability. Now, they don't do it alone. It's a vote for the board, but the Fed chairman has, I guess, very, very much powerful. And the board doesn't always vote unanimously, but it's not unusual to have that. It's not. As far as Warsh's credentials, Kevin Warsh, his credentials, he joined the Federal Reserve Board of Governors in 2012. You see, that was President George H.W. Bush during that time. And he was tapped to lead the central bank in 2017. He remains a consistent critic of the Fed leadership. He was the youngest person to serve on the board, starting in 2006. He's a former Morgan Stanley banker. He stepped down in 2011 from the board and was widely recognized as the Fed's key liaison to Wall Street during the 2008 financial crisis. Also served as an economic advisor to the then President George W. Bush. So he's been around for a while, but he was the youngest ever to be able to be on the board. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. Remember, Trump also picked Jerome Powell. So during his first term. So we'll see. We'll see how all that goes. Phone lines are open 928-344 5258. I got some health article here that seems just unfair. Yeah, men face hidden heart risk years earlier than women. See, that's sexist. To say that men face heart risk earlier than women. Of course, it's got my attention because I have AFib, atrial fibrillation, which is all too many people that get that, but that's just an irregular heartbeat. That possibility of a stroke could cause a stroke. That's why they put me on blood thinners, just to make sure that doesn't happen. But possibility of a stroke, and apparently men are predispositioned to get some kind of heart problems early. And of course, we've all had friends that have had heart attacks or died from heart attacks. John Minori, one of my favorite lawyers, great friend, great guy to go to, and quite a regular guest on the show for many years. Died young, I think in his 50s. Died young, and he was a very prominent lawyer here in Yuma, and really got mad at him for having a heart attack. But he had heart surgery, man, 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 years before that. I don't remember the exact timeline. I remember when he had that, had bypass surgery, had clogged arteries, like received a lot of stents or something. Quite a bit. It was a big deal. And then years later had a heart attack. He was a high energy guy out of Detroit. But according to the American Heart Association, they started studying people age 18 to 30 from the mid 80s until through 2020s as part of the coronary artery risk development in young adults, 5,000 adults. Men reached a 5% incidence of cardiovascular disease, including heart attack, stroke, and heart failure at around 50 years old, compared to 57 for women. So we got to figure out what the women are doing. All right, you're on the air. Oh, I got the wrong one. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Russ. How we doing?
Good morning, Carl.
I want to give my 2 cents for your friend John Minori.
Yeah, man.
He really was a good person.
Yeah, he was rough, rough character on the outside, but he really did help. He lent a hand. He was very generous. Yeah.
I know the Tea Party sure missed him a lot.
Absolutely, he was a big help on that.
Yeah. Anyway,
Freedom Library. He was a big volunteer for that, and a big help to Howard over there. Yeah.
Yes, he was a good people person.
Yeah.
And I give our fine listeners a head up. The campaign trolley is going to be back out at the fair this year, right by the 32nd Street gate, and we're going to be having our candidates out there as many as possible, as much time as possible, so we can talk to our candidates.
And we really need that. That's great. That's a great opportunity. That's a great placement for the trolley. It's been, everybody has to walk by it, leaving or coming, coming or going one way or the other. They walk right by that thing. Great spot, great location. Yeah.
Okay. And we're also getting in touch with our Sergio and tell him he needs to come down and meet the people also. So people like to meet our chairman of the Republican Party.
Oh, I know he represents the whole state now, but if he can find a way, I'm sure he will.
Well, I think this is the kind of guy that what I seen of him. This is the kind of guy that'll do everything he can to make sure he can do it.
Yeah.
Instead of fluff it off like a lot of them did, they just to give us a little fluff and be on their way. I think this man is going to really put his nose to the grindstone and help us out.
Yeah, but he's going to be up against a lot of people pushing him in different directions, of
Well,
course. But
yeah.
that's just the job. That's exactly what they do.
Well,
But
that's what we put him in there to do.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I need to send him a note this morning and ask him about this convention possibility in Phoenix, Arizona. I mean, I wonder if he is someone that's pushing the Trump
Well,
administration, saying, "Hey, put it over here." That'd be nice.
I think if they do it, it should be in Phoenix because then it makes it a short drive for a lot of people, but then the drive is not as bad for a lot more people.
Yeah, but this is a national convention, so it's
Yeah.
the whole nation. They're looking at Georgia, Texas,
Oh,
Nevada,
okay.
But we're on the list. I mean, on the list, potential list of 5.
Yeah.
Who knows what Trump's going to come up with?
Well, you know what? So far, I'm liking the art of the deal he's doing for us.
Buddy, it's something to keep track of, man. It's a constant. Constantly have to look at the playbook because we don't have it. He does it, but we see little bits of it all the time. We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't always know, but the results have been phenomenal. And that's part of what the convention is going to be.
That's
It's going to
right.
be talking about the results and talking about the achievements as well as the next in line, the next achievement in line to be made.
Yes.
And that's I think it's a good idea. I just don't know what the structure is going to be. It's not going to be a Trump rally. It's going to be a convention. So it's geared towards midterm elections and midterm candidates. So obviously you'll see a lot of governor candidates, senators, representatives.
Yeah.
But Trump knows how to put on a show, and we'll see.
Yeah. Trump knows how to roll the dice,
Yeah.
and he's doing. It'd be just like a guy on the dice table at Vegas that's hitting it hot.
Yeah.
Oh, that's President Trump right there.
Except I don't think he
he's doing
gambles or
people-
drinks. So
He doesn't. Well,
Yeah.
he gambles on a lot of sure things,
Right. That's easy to gamble on, sure things.
Yes. and that's what he's doing. And I'm having a hard time trying to figure out why the people in the United States are fighting him so hard because he's doing this to make America strong again.
It's easy because if they allow him to accomplish everything, then they lose power. That's all it's about, Carl. That's it. They lose power. And they get no penalties, and I'm talking about the left now, gets no penalties for being wrong. It's okay
Yeah,
for them
but-
to be wrong.
But the power they lose goes back to the people.
That doesn't matter. They don't have it though. I mean,
But don't the people understand that?
some and more are. More and more are.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's winning them, but it's a fight every day. The left wing media just hates him because he is accomplishing things. He is powerful, so they try to use it against him and say, "Well, you're so powerful that it's immoral that ICE agents are out. It's too powerful. You're arresting too many illegals, which is ridiculous. He's probably not even on President Obama's pace at this point because he started off with a much smaller force. But it's perception, though. They want to create a perception that it's aggressive, a perception, and then perception's reality. Perception's reality, but it's not reaching everybody. But it's making a difference, and they know it's making a difference. That people are upset about the 2 people that were shot, even though the police, the agents at the time, are going to be following. They're following protocol, policy, and justification based on police work. No matter what, but they don't focus on that. They just focus that they shouldn't have been there, and they shouldn't kill people, and they shouldn't arrest people, they shouldn't break up families, they should let convicts or let criminals stay with their families instead of being taken away. But that's not the way we work. It's a price to pay.
Well, yeah, the price is it's called the rule of law, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's all he's doing.
And that's exactly what he's doing. And as far as I'm concerned, our new Gradlina Grava She's down there breaking the law.
She is
So,
doing what?
well, down there protesting with the protesters.
Protesting is legal, though, man, and I don't know.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but when you're down protesting someplace and you get pepper sprayed, there's a reason you got pepper sprayed.
But she
Whether
lied
you're
about
lying
that.
well, that's true.
Yeah.
But she committed when she lied. That's if she was there and she got pepper sprayed.
Yeah.
Whether she did or not, she was, in my opinion, she's breaking the law.
No.
When they have to bring out the Kansas pepper spray,
I think they sprayed somebody else and she smelled it, so she says I got sprayed or something. Yeah.
How come Daniel was down there and he didn't get all pepper sprayed?
No, he got pepper sprayed as much as she did, though. Probably he probably smelled it.
Yeah. But I guess you're right, and I am having a hard time getting over it that they are playing by Salalinski's rules for radicals.
Yeah, they're trying to cause confusion and chaos.
A hard time.
Right.
Because I guess of being a veteran, you don't lie to the people. You just don't do that. You don't lie.
Yeah.
When you go up the chain of command, and you don't go in there and stand in front of that man and lie to him.
Yeah.
The lie is worse than the deed you did.
Yeah. Adelita now is on she's been on the news saying that she's going to be going to Somerton to turn it all back Democrat, because there's been some inroads on Republicans in that area. It's always been notoriously very heavy Democrat, and there's been a lot of citizens that have changed their party designation to Republican, and I guess she doesn't like it. She's down there and going to get it all back.
Yep.
I don't.
But if I went down there and started asking her questions, I'd have a 95% chance of getting beat up before I got out of Somerton.
I don't think so, Carl.
Maybe
Minneapolis,
okay.
but not Somerton. We'll test it. I want you to go down there and try it, and let me know if you get beat up.
Yeah, I did go down there one time.
Okay.
And I went and watched when she came in there because I wanted to ask her questions. I wanted to see if I get beat up that day. And when she got done with her speech, she says, "Anybody got any questions?" 2 seconds later, she said, "Thank you. I'll have a good day."
Yeah.
But on the news, you would think she asked for questions, but she left right after she said that.
She didn't take any, huh? Okay.
Didn't take any questions.
That makes it safe for her, knowing that she's got some bad policies. Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, but you know what? That proves to me she doesn't really care what people think. She just wants to try and put out a narrative and hope people think that, or some people will.
Oh, correct. Yeah, it plays well on the television and stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Photo ops.
There you go, man. That's what they do.
Have a good day.
Same, man.
Yeah, you have a good day, Russ.
You too, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mr. Carl. I'm going to take a break and be right back. AM 560.
We'll have some pretty strong winds through the weekend, but temperatures warming up nicely. 80 and sunny today, north wind at 10 to 15, clear and 52 tonight. Sunny and 82 tomorrow, north wind at 10 to 15, clear and 53 tomorrow night. And then for Sunday, partly cloudy, 81, not quite as windy, 51 Sunday night.
All right, do-it-yourselfer, you've got the idea, and you got your building supplies at Southwest Lumber.
That's right.
Now, all you need is a bunch of expensive tools to get the job done.
Oh, that's right.
And just the place to rent them. Southwest Lumber, your home for everything home improvement. Southwest Lumber has half-day to multiple-day rentals available on just about anything you need to finish the job. Rent equipment and tools on Saturday and Sunday. It's free. Stop in today at 1917 South Avenue B in Yuma. Southwest Lumber, ready for everything.
Oh, hello. It's me, the calculator that lives inside of TaxSlayer. And let me tell you, I love numbers. 1040s, 1099s, W-2s, all of them. With TaxSlayer, anyone can file a federal return for just $22.99. You'll get 100% accuracy and your biggest possible refund guaranteed. Now, those are great numbers. Need help along the way? We've got U.S.-based real human support. File by February 8th for just $22.99. Get the refund you deserve. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife, 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com. because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/Mike.
Yeah, 60 KBLU. Russ Clark back with you. It's 6:35 on a beautiful Friday morning. Phone lines are open. I started talking about heart risk. Men face more of a problem than women for some reason. You see heart attack, stroke, heart failure around 50 years old compared to women at 57, but the problems start much younger. They say around even age 35 or so, you start showing signs that you have keys that you need to correct so that you don't have some heart problems. And gosh, we know so many people have had stents in their hearts and all that. And that's one problem I don't have. I don't have the blockage problem. For whatever reason, I was vegan for many years and that, but I did have high blood pressure. I don't have cholesterol. But those are all the key markers we're looking for, and people should get checked out beforehand. Alexa Friedman, she's a study author, assistant professor of preventive medicine at Northwestern University Finberg School of Medicine. Our findings highlight the importance of promoting heart health screening and prevention in young adulthood, especially for young men. Too late for me as far as young, but needs to be done. Andrew Freeman, that's Dr. Andrew, maybe a relation, I don't know. He's a cardiologist, director of the clinical cardiology at National Jewish Health in Denver. Commented on the finding. He wasn't a part of it. He says, we have always known that men tend to manifest and typically die earlier from things like heart attacks and strokes compared to women. Now, an interesting thing on that too, I was on the hospital board for 9 years, and I hung around with the doctors, and mirrored and listened to, problems in the hospital. One of the issues for the hospital is when women went in to emergency room or something with symptoms that would be suspected as heart attack in men was more ignored because women don't get heart attacks and those kind of things at the same level, which was interesting. But it was enough of an issue that they keep bringing it up to remind them that women can have the same problems, although it's not as prominent at a younger age. So they didn't necessarily check right away on the women. They like they did the men, which could cause problems, which of course they were addressing to make sure that didn't happen. But it's directly tied to hormonal differences, diet, physical activity, which is important. And I'm trying to make up for lost time. The standard American lifestyle makes us all sick, and that men seem to be more prone to develop this disease earlier. We are more exposed to toxins than ever before in virtually every part of our food supply, which Kennedy's looking at. We already know well that air pollution, light pollution, sound pollution are all associated with their heart disease. Sound pollution, really? More sedentary, getting less sleep. Sleep's very important. More stress, and are less socially connected. So socially connected, so you got to worry about the youth. If socially connected counts, then the youth are not getting socially connected. They're on their phone in the basement. That's not, or on a video game or something. That's not, I don't think it takes the place of socially connection. All of which could increase cardiovascular disease. I think this study is really underscoring that it's time for some big changes. Limit toxins in the forms of alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, nicotine, air pollution. Eat better, low fat, whole food, plant-based diets. Exercise regularly, 20 to 30 minutes every day. At a level of breathless with the sign off of the doctor. In other words, to go as much as you can to failure on exercise and breathless, running as much as you can, or it says partake in stress relieving activities and mindful exercise, get adequate uninterrupted sleep, cultivate a strong support network of family and friends, We need to do everything we can to clean up our lifestyles and reduce our disease burden, addressing any core mobilities like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and obesity. I was in the obese range too, so I had the high blood pressure and obesity, which probably contributed to the fact that I have AFib today. And now I find out that I have a slower heart rate, which was a total shock. That uh, that the recommendation that I get a pacemaker, and I kind of questioned that. I mean, I went ahead and approved the appointment to get the pacemaker put in while I'm getting second opinions and while I'm doing more research. But I'm finding out from the research that they were right, that I probably would benefit from a pacemaker, although I don't have any immediate concerns or scares. The pacemakers is more of a watchdog. It doesn't do anything unless it's necessary. So uh, I don't want one. I would like to not have one because it's going to sideline me for a while from the gym and from the exercise I do. But it's going to protect me from any potential problems, particularly after I'm scheduled for a procedure called ablation, which will go in and clean up some of the damage on my heart that's causing the erratic heartbeat, which is an electrical thing for the erratic heartbeat. And before they do that, they want to put in a pacemaker. So I think I walked out of the doctor's office a little stunned. It took me days to think about it. But I was I was okay with the fact I needed ablation, and that was going to correct my heartbeat and allow me to exercise more aggressively than I do now. I had to slow down because my heart rate goes too high. And I said, "Well, let's get that taken care of so that I can, exercise more to failure and exercise and get, more reps in and move more weight and stuff like that." I did not count on the pacemaker at all, which was unfortunate, but it's better than the alternative. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Good morning. This is Sandy.
Good morning, Sandy.
And sorry to interrupt there, but you were talking about President Trump and going around and campaigning for the midterms.
Correct.
I would love to get a message to him, so I'm trying through your phone, and maybe George are here, or you can tell him, or maybe President Trump won't think it's that important.
Uh-huh.
And I know President Trump knows this, but I think as part of his speech as he goes around, he needs to explain to the American people that he's not going to be on the ballot, but it's going to be extremely important for people to come out and vote Republican. So if it helps, when you see Republican, think Trump. And just tell them, I can't do the job by myself. I've got to have majorities in the House and the Senate to get things accomplished. And so the Democrats who are acting crazy, and I don't know if he'd want to use those words, but the Democrats who are acting crazy won't stop everything you voted for when you voted for me in 2024. And I think that would be a real important, and take the time to explain that to the people, because we don't want a whole bunch of Gallegos around the country.
No.
Because we see what he has done, and that's absolutely total opposition.
Correct.
To anything that we actually voted for, and I know some people voted for Trump, some people voted for him. I get that. But it was a big mistake to do that, because it didn't give President Trump somebody who would help with what we want. It gave us somebody who would totally oppose. And I know he can put it in better words than a speechwriter, but he really needs to take the time to explain it. Because I think sometimes people think, well, he's not on the ballot, I'm not going to even go vote. Or they think, oh, he's the president, he can do everything. But in all honesty, the way the system works, that's not true. So
No, he's not on the ballot, but in essence, and I keep hearing people say, "Well, he's on the ballot because it matters."
correct.
Uh,
And it's
because
good
he'll
that
lose
those
his
people
support.
are saying that.
Right.
I'm just saying it's
Yeah.
amazing how a number of people, even in the last election, didn't understand that. So, or maybe they understood it, and I'm going to do what I think, and he's just going to have to do it by himself, and it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So
It's an important.
anyway, if
It's
you
a
can get that to George or somebody from Trump's, and if he discounts it and says, "Oh, Sandy doesn't know what she's talking about,"
yeah.
I just feel like I don't have a means to get the message to him because you put like stuff out even on Truth Social.
Yeah.
My gosh, there's so much. How would anybody even see my little comment? You know what I mean?
Yeah, the reason he's going out right now on the stump is he realizes the importance. So he's pulling in from his, going overseas and doing all the stuff, the great things he's done overseas, with the tariffs and everything. But he is pulling in to do it. But you- I'll be curious what the message is. But the message, I think, is how important it is to keep the chambers so that he's not going to be tied up with impeachments every week.
Well, he gave a very good speech in Iowa, so he's already started that. And when he was talking to Will Kane, there was a little bit about, if they get in charge, they'll just impeach me. I didn't hear him go through and make an explanation in his speech.
Yeah. Well, there's been
Maybe I'm just wanting it to be more. I want people to truly understand it.
There's been promises
how
from
important it is.
some on the left that that's exactly what they do. In fact, there's been people like Al Green and stuff that have already put in an impeachment request. Of course, it never goes anywhere right now. But if they had the majority, it would, and they would tie everything up. That's all we'd be doing.
Correct.
Yeah,
And that's not something we want because he really has done very well.
sure.
Obviously, I'd like grocery prices to be lower, and other stuff. But and I think they're going to get there.
I think he's doing the right
But-
things to get it there.
Right.
And it certainly hasn't gone up like it did under Biden. It just hasn't.
Well, another thing that we need to understand, I don't know if he needs to help people understand it, is the Democrats, when they're in office, tend to do everything really bad. And Biden did things super bad.
Yeah.
So President Trump's doing a lot of cleanup. And then finding all that fraud in Minnesota and in California, all that's got to be taken care of. That's taxpayer money that's stolen. And for some reason, there are people that don't understand it. And then, you have to work on all of these agitators. And we do need to get rid of the sanctuary cities. I try to look it up and see, are they even legal? And apparently, it's the states fighting the federal government.
Yeah.
But in essence, really, and most states understand it, and they want law and order.
Yeah.
The state is not enforcing immigration. ICE is, and that's why they're very important. But they're helping protect ICE in their job by keeping the agitators and the mobs from attacking them.
Well,
And to me, the Democrats anymore, they just want to rule by mob rule. I'm going to only do what I want to do. And Obama started that. And Biden, I'm going to do what I want to do. I don't care what the law says.
yes.
And Obama did that. And so the mob is trying to enforce their rule. Democrats are there's something seriously wrong with them. So
Well, there's an unjustified means, but you're right. They project that on Trump, though, that says, you're the king doing what you want to do, break the laws every day. And I'm kind of tired of hearing that stuff from the Democrats, too, about, well, Trump's breaking the law. He doesn't follow the Constitution. And that's all they say. They're like, what law? What doesn't he follow? I'm always
He
curious.
actually is one of the best presidents for following the Constitution. He
Yeah.
doesn't do what he wants. If it needs to be adjudicated, it goes through the courts,
Right.
even if it delays what he wants to be done. And he's really the best at that. And the Democrats they really are liars. That's pretty much all they do is they lie. But they also, this mob rule thing where they're going around and attacking people. And the women, the women liberals are like, they really have become crazy.
What, the
I don't
awfuls?
know the total reason why.
I don't know.
But there's something definitely wrong.
Yeah.
It's not normal. What we're seeing is not normal. It's not peaceful protest.
Oh no. But they train it.
mob
They train. They go to training to not be peaceful. They go to training to interact, to obstruct, to grab ICE officers to stop them from arresting people, and people have been hurt because of it, and
Right.
and a couple have been killed.
Right. And Rand Paul, he worried me. I tried to call you yesterday because he was on the Rob Schmidt show. I watched clips of it, and he said I was looking at a clip of the Freddie shooting, and he didn't even do anything to them. And I thought, oh my gosh, he hasn't seen enough videos.
No.
He needs somebody who understands what's happening, somebody to analyze it. Like some of the videos I watched, I saw this guy named Andrew Bronca or something. I don't know how to say his last name. And he's a defense attorney, and he went through and explained everything that was going on in a slowed down video.
Mm-hmm.
And Officer Tatum, I don't know, a bunch of them that if you really go and you got to look at them and you got to listen to these guys that know what they're doing. You can't beat a Rand Paul.
Yeah.
Rand Paul doesn't get it. He doesn't understand it. And what's really sad to me is he wants to have this hearing, and it's like he wants to just assassinate these guys. Right. I don't mean physically, but I mean word-wise. And it's because he's not educated.
Right.
And that's sad.
It is. And I had the same with Chris yesterday when he was in the office here, when in the studio. Off air, we talked about it. And he said, well, that was totally wrong. That was not a good shoot, and that cop should be investigated. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I showed him some stuff and talked to him some stuff. He had no idea. He didn't see it.
Correct. Because they're not watching. They watch one clip.
Yeah.
And the media is putting stuff out. They even make the pretty guy look. They just change kind of like his dimensions and size to fit like this look that is more appealing to people.
Right. They touched up his
doing
photo.
All that kind of crap. And but people are being fooled because just like one video my nephew sent me said, I want you to notice that this is going to be starting from farther out. And you see what Freddie is doing to the ICE guys before we even get to that point.
Yeah.
And he's out in the street. They tell him to get off the street. He gets out in the street again, tell him to get off the street. And then we see that earlier video where he's spitting on them and kicking. So he's not a good guy. He's not a nurse. He quit that.
He was an agitator.
He decided to become an agitator.
A professional. And I'm gonna, and a lot of those guys are getting paid now. It's hard to get, specifics on it. They're very tight-lipped about it. A lot of them don't admit it, but they've had enough information that they kind of know where the money's coming from, but it's hard to track. It goes through so many different accounts and everything. And
I guess that signal chat may help them some with that.
Yeah.
They think that the lieutenant governor from Minnesota was involved in telling people where to go and all that.
Right.
And so that administration is going to be in serious trouble.
Right. Well, and hopefully they are in serious trouble. They deserve it. They've earned it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's true.
All right. I appreciate it.
All right. But if you could get the message, and I know it seems like, you can't, people understand that. People understand it. I'm not sure that they do. Because a lot of times they think, hey, he's the guy. He can do everything. Well, he's not Superman.
No, but he does listen.
He needs your help. And he can put it out. He's such a good speaker. He can explain that to everybody. But he just needs to hear from me. And like I said, if he discounts it, I'm not going to be upset about it. I'm speaking out because I really think it's important.
I appreciate the call.
So, all right.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. And I just had Derek Egbert walk in. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Well, you even upset my dog.
Well, that's all right. I upset your dog every time.
Well, she's a guard dog. She likes to keep me informed that people are coming in.
She does a great job tied up behind you where she can't walk around and can't do anything.
I did that knowing you were coming.
It's noise only is what
Because, well, she doesn't bark as much if she's right next to me. She knows I disapprove.
Got it.
But if I can't get a hold of her, she'll run around here for a little while.
Well, yeah, because she's looking for Cindy to give her treats.
Yeah. She's a spoiled little creepy dog.
Yeah, she's a good.
I take care of her.
It's a creepy owner, but good dog.
That's probably not far from the truth, man. That's probably pretty close. So I know you follow a lot of the news and stuff.
As much as humanly possible.
Yeah, but there's so much you're not going to get it all.
No.
It's kind of amazing. The highlight is Minneapolis, Minnesota, and some of the stuff's going on, which really weird stuff's happening right now. In that we got Minneapolis and Minnesota governors and mayors agreeing to some issues with having their officers help ICE in turning over convicts and stuff. I mean, that's a big change.
That's a huge change, but I think that's part of the, I want to say the chess move, but brilliant strategy. Because if the president and the administration say, okay, wait a minute, all right, we're gonna slow down. I don't want to say the word slow down, but we're gonna slow down. We just want you to give all the convicted felons, all of the people who are convicted that shouldn't be here, and you and your jurisdictions have proved they're the bad guys and gals. Let's get them out. Who could say no to that?
So there is some stuff going on, and of course, there's some bills out there to keep the government running, which need to pass pretty much today.
Yeah,
and there are negotiations going on with that, and the anti-ICE folks have got some traction because of the misinformation and some stuff. In fact, 7 Republicans are in the Senate are voting not to pass the bill. I mean, it's a test vote.
Yeah,
not a real vote, but a test vote, which makes it a no-go. Makes it a no-go on the budget stuff. So negotiations are going on, and then Elon Omar made a comment that they're pulling 800 ICE agents out of Minneapolis, and maybe that was part of the negotiation. I haven't heard
any of that fact.
I haven't heard that from Tom Homan or anything, but Tom Homan's over there now, and he's not leaving. But he is the go-to guy now in Minnesota to negotiate and work with the locals and see if they can't get them to some common sense of, stop the agitations.
Yeah, I guess it's easy to armchair quarterback it from here.
Well, that's what I like doing.
I know. You just think, okay, you're literally protesting and breaking and burning things and damaging property.
But that's not protesting. That's breaking the law.
Correct.
At that point.
But that's what I'm saying. There's a group of people that think that's what a protest is.
Correct.
And no, it peacefully protest. Have at it. But the second you start kicking and damaging and breaking anything, that's a problem.
I read an article this morning. We'll get into it next hour because I'm coming up on a break. But connection of who's paying the protesters.
Well, the paid and the coordination is an interesting thing for me.
Right. And that's hard to track. They disguise it on purpose.
It is hard to track, but with some of the apps like the Signal app and some of the other things, it's not as hard as you think if you actually just go start looking.
If they have access to that, and apparently some of the authorities have had access to some of it, and they've got some names in place of who's paying it and the names of the parties that are collecting it, but they're 501c3s, and they don't have to disclose their like a political party has to disclose who their contributors are. They don't have to do it. So it's kind of more difficult to track. I think they have their ways, particularly when you're talking about international movement of money and stuff. Yeah. And some of that's happening.
It'll be interesting to see how this shakes out over the next week.
And it's happening that fast.
Yeah.
It's shaping it out this week. A lot's happened this week that's just not as transparent as we want yet, but we can see the changes.
Right.
Tom Homan finally came to the mic and talked a lot about the negotiations, but not what they negotiated, just that they're doing it.
Well, and you realize it's the old psychology thing. It's good news on Mondays that carries you through the week. It's bad news on Fridays because then you forget
Oh no,
about it.
bad news today. I hope
Of
not.
course, it's going to be.
I hope we have the good news. We'll see. I'll be right back. It's 7:00 AM 560.
There's a man in D.C. He's 6'3".
This is News Talk 560 KBLU, Yuma.
In that True Social Post said, and he will go down as one of the greatest Federal Reserve chairmen. He's right after Central Casting. Hey, he will never let you down. That's Fox Business Network's Edward Lawrence at the White House. Lawrence, the record for being an inflation hawk, he advocated heavily for rate up during the housing crisis in 2008, which is opposite of what President Trump is looking for right now with this bank. But recently, he says that Lawrence has said that he's evolved. His views have changed. Former CNN anchor Don Lemon arrested by federal agents in Los Angeles just after midnight this morning at a hotel. This obviously all in connection with the storming of a church in St. Paul, Minnesota by that group of anti-ICE agitators. Bill Malugin also reports Don Lemon's attorney in a statement just after the journalist was shining a light on the truth on this third attack on the First Amendment. 3 others who protested in that church had already been arrested and charged. Those angry about immigration enforcement and the deadly shootings related to it are calling on people across America today to ice out in protest. Don't go to work or school, don't shop. Republican Congressman Tom Emmer from Minnesota just told Fox, this type of rhetoric, by the way, this is coming to your city next? No, it's not, because most cities are cooperating with law enforcement. That controversy simmers in Congress. House Minority Leader Kevin Picking Jeffries tells Fox, we want to avoid a government shutdown, but it's necessary to ensure that the Department of Homeland Security dramatically changes the way in which it has been conducting itself. A partial shutdown starts at midnight. There is a potential compromise, but that may not get approved by tonight. America's listening to Fox News. Wesley Financial Group is all over. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought 2 lots for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation. Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-486-9600. That's 800-486-9600. This President's Day, Pure Talk is honoring Jackson and Lincoln by offering unlimited talk text with plenty of data for just $25 a month. Meanwhile, Big Wireless is honoring Ben Franklin by charging families hundreds of dollars for the same 5G coverage. What? Franklin wasn't even a president. Hang on to the Benjamins. Dial pound 250, say micro, and save 50% off your first month. That's pound 250, micro, to switch to an American wireless company that's truly unprecedented. Pure.
From the 11th Information Desk, I'm Selena Quileta. February is a prime month for winter visitors in Yuma. According to Visit Yuma, around 60 to 70,000 snowbirds come to Yuma each winter. They say that about 15% are from Canada. The Palm Lottery Resort says that they have over 400 winter visitors from October to March. Visit Yuma also says 15% of snowbirds intend to cross into Mexico. But a local American Legion Post is looking to reopen their kitchen soon after temporarily closing it. American Legion Post's 56th kitchen closed in September while they wait for their vintage oven buns to come in. They also renovated the space with new floors and paint. They offer low-cost meals for veterans and say they're ready to start serving locals again once the parts arrive. Catch us on the TV side on this 11 every week at 5, 6, and 10 p.m. for your latest local news, weather, and sports.
There's a man in D.C. He stands 6'3". 3. He's fighting for you. He's fighting for me. He'll drain that swamp, just like he said. He'll make America great again. So get on that drum train.
Yeah, 60 KBL. Russ Clark with you. Derek Bird came in early today.
Good morning, Sunshine. Thanks for having the door unlocked for me.
I did it this time, didn't
I? I figured it was going to be one more time. Came up, turn the knob, it's locked.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't used to lock him at all, but the times are a little more angry. Helen, I'm married, and she's a little more concerned about me, which is nice.
Aw,
So I locked,
somebody does like you. I
so
don't
I
care what
locked,
anybody says.
I locked the door. That's kind of cool. We were talking before break that we were going to discuss some of these agitator groups and the money that comes into them. And I read an article this morning that 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 talks about what they think, I guess, as much as anything, which comes from, I'm sure, a lot of investigation through the feds and through government. But the financial backers of these agitators, and we know there are some, even though the people in the street don't always claim they're making it, but they do talk.
Yeah.
And they do get out there and say they're making money. Well, one of the alleged financial backers is a Chinese Communist Party advocate so it's coming right out of CCP. And it's an American former tech mogul named Neville Roy Singham. Now, Neville Singham, he moved to China actually to shield himself from subpoenas from U.S. authorities. He sold his company in 2017 for $785 million, moved to Shanghai, and they've been trying to investigate him. In fact, his investigation goes back to 1974 when the feds were investigating him for potentially engaging in activities that were against U.S. interests. I don't know exactly what that is.
Never heard that part.
But he's a 71-year-old U.S. citizen, Shanghai resident now, so he's not. It's not a place we're going to subpoena him and get extradition or anything. And he shares office space with a Maku Group, a Chinese media company that was funded by Singham and associated with pro-CCP propaganda. And they're saying that the money is moving into a couple two core groups, the Party for Socialism and Liberation and the People's Forum. And those are in the United States, functioning in the United States. And they get a bunch of cash, and they pay for a lot of this nonsense. They have professional agitators, training agitators, and all those kind of things. And it looks like, according to this article, they suspect a lot of the money's coming right from the CCP through this Singham guy that is wanted, to answer some questions, but they can't get a hold of him.
So I did read most of that this morning, and
Oh, you knew about
that? That just started popping up on most of the major news networks about 5 o'clock this morning. So saw that, read through it. I don't know much more about it, but it is interesting because if you look at the size and scope of some of these protests, it clearly has to be coordinated.
And lots of money. That's not cheap.
Exactly. And the tell sign to me is when you start to see the same sign. When you see the news clips and it's the same sign with the same font and the same coloring at multiple different protests, how do you do that unless it's coordinated?
Right.
It's like when you were running for office, if all your signs are the same, they clearly came from your committee. If you had, one signed in crayon and one's a Sharpie and one's, okay, clearly it's a protester sign. But if it's paid, produced signage, it's clearly coordinated somewhere.
Not only that, we've seen before where they show up with all the same helmets because they're ready to battle, and they got a vest on, the bulletproof or maybe riot-proof vest or some kind of shielding vest, and they show up with these things. They get dropped off, and someone's paying big bills, for these things, and then it's coming from these organizations. Singham, who now resides there, he's been assisting into these like Code Pink, who oppose U.S. interests and U.S. Adversaries for many years. And James Comer, Republican out of Kentucky, who's a House Oversight Committee, he launched an investigation into Stingham for his alleged involvement in the funding of the anti-ICE riots that took place in Los Angeles last summer.
Good.
So I guess he's a constant player and create chaos in America.
And you always have to go back to why. If you really did, and I'm just saying if, because I don't know the rest of the history, if you really did sell your company, make $785 million as an American citizen, and you experienced the American dream, why are you causing hate and discontent for other people that would like to do the same thing? Because clearly you were in an industry that made big bucks.
Right.
You know, you could do a lot of good, not a lot of chaos, but how do you change your mindset like that?
We have a lot of people that have made a lot of money that have an ideology at the far left that we should not have money, even though they made it.
But they certainly didn't have that ideology when they were growing and building.
Maybe, maybe not. Maybe he was always close and made the money just to support his ideology with the CCP. Don't know, because it goes back to 74 before he really became, cashed in. He cashed in 2017.
Could be possibly.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to get in his head.
Yeah.
But for him to be so aggressively engaging in anti-American stuff and upheavals, socialism, Marxism, chaos.
And what kind of good could you do if you had those resources and that focus?
Well, look at Elon Musk.
There you go. That's what I'm saying is
Yeah.
you have the ability to make choice. I'm going to, change society, civilization, however
Right.
altruistic you want to be in
Right.
a good way. Or let me just cause hate and discontent because I'm not there and I don't have to see it. Let me just stir the pot and who cares what happens. And you look at the anger that some of these protests are displaying, they want to fight.
Some of our legislatures, people in the legislature are starting to get concerned about the fact that these organizations can exist and they don't have to report. And we really don't know a lot about them. Jason Smith, we're looking out of Missouri, he's with the House Ways and Means Committee, and he's the leader of it. He's the chairman of it. He sent a letter to the IRS Commissioner, Daniel Werfel, inquiring about specific tax-exempt organizations that promote CCP propaganda and related initiatives, including the People's Forum and other organizations that have been organizing agitators in Minneapolis. Mr. Singham is actively fueling CCP propaganda and financing indoctrination efforts abroad by providing hundreds of millions of dollars to groups that mix progressive advocacy with CCP talking points. Despite this foreign activity and engagement with CCP-tied organizations across the world, Mr. Singham's American-based nonprofit organization continued to do business as usual, supporting political activity and pro-CCP propaganda. But I don't know they have an avenue.
I don't know either. And now you're getting into muddy waters that should it be a nonprofit? Should it be a political action committee? Should it be regulated, one way versus another? But it sure is interesting. Why do you give protected tax exempt status to an organization that is fighting against the government of the United States?
Right.
You're not a religious organization. You're not displaying your amendment to, your right to gather peacefully or support your own religion. If you're fighting against the United States from outside, why is that tax exempt?
It's not tax exempt for those reasons. It's tax exempt for other reasons.
But you're using that
Right.
vehicle, and that's what I was trying to figure out this morning.
And that's what Jason Smith is looking at, is like, how can we let this happen? How can that be a thing that was my cell phone. It's not a phone. That was Ted. Because I had the phone on hold.
Okay,
and he was frustrated by it. So now I'm gonna it's probably him. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Lock that door.
Well, Ted's coming. We better lock the door.
Hey,
What's up, man?
Speaking of the Constitution, they just arrested Don Lemon.
No. Did they?
They haven't read out the charges yet, but I'm sure they'll be free.
Wow. And that's about the church, the going into the church, disrupting a religious ceremony. That's specifically against the law.
Right. The feds arresting, not state, federal arresting.
Yeah. Just,
Well,
just
maybe
popped
him.
on both Fox and CNN.
Yeah, they
wow.
maybe him, Simpson, and him, and the Chinese because they're tripping the money.
I hope they're I'm sure that someone knows. It's a matter of can they prosecute? Can they stop it? It's one thing to know it, but it is
Right.
a 501c3, and the influx of the money isn't reportable.
Right.
You can
Nice, isn't
donate,
it?
but you don't have to declare it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's the laws. They make them up there on the hill.
Yeah. Well, that's what we need to get, fixed is these 501c3s should be reporting it, but I guess a lot of people give to charities they don't want their name on it. And is this really a charity when their job is to organize chaos?
That's playing the system.
Yeah.
They set it up that way.
Right.
But I just wanted to let you know, old Don's in the caboose now.
Well, they've got something solid to do that because he's, high profile. There's gonna be a lot of people complaining that he's, media and
No.
all that, but he's really not anymore. He does a podcast that no one watches.
Well, it's the same as a law enforcement hiding behind their badge to commit a crime.
Yeah.
You can't do it. You can't scream, I'm press, I can do this. You know what I mean? There are some limitations to it. You know it.
Well, there's video of him. He's not really press. He's really part of the agitation.
Right.
Yeah.
And he aided and abetted them by buying them food and watering them. And cash cows run out, Don.
Yeah, I'll be curious where that one goes. There probably people on the left will probably send him a bunch of money.
Oh,
to
yeah. Oh, yeah.
make him feel better while he's in jail.
You know.
Yeah.
It's just like that Joey Behart. She better look up the history of her people from Italy, what they did during the Second World War.
She's not responsible for what her parents do, but yeah.
Lineage, read
That
the Bible.
doesn't,
Read that Bible Sunday.
Read the laws. We're specifically exempt from being prosecuted for our parents' actions.
Sins of the father.
Thanks, man.
Anyway,
be good.
Say hi to Don.
I'll do it. Bye. Hello, Don. Don Lemon deserves it. He was begging for it.
Kind of. Now, here, let me ask another question. How would he be at the church where there's going to be a protest without a coordinated effort and everybody knowing ahead of time?
Of course you do.
Okay. So again, you go down this road that you can't say, oh, I'm an innocent bystander. The sheer fact that you got there with your cameras and you're part of it, kind of feels like it's a setup.
Well, he was informed, but now there's times that the media is informed something big's going to happen, like Mar-a-Lago raid. They had CNN across the street at 5 a.m.
Sure.
They knew, but that doesn't mean they were conspirators. It's just that they wanted to make it public, the FBI and the DOJ.
So by definition, though, if you know ahead of time and you're putting things out, let's look at the result, and good, bad, and different. Let's look at the result of the Mar-a-Lago raid right now. Was there anything there?
No.
Okay. So the sheer fact that you got the media involved and you pushed
I
that
say nothing
narrative.
was there. There was nothing there that they didn't already know.
Correct.
Everything that was there was already documented and well established.
So if you're using the media to push your narrative, good, bad, or indifferent, then the media is involved because they're no longer reporting. They're not the neutral third party saying, hey, this is what happened today. You're actually pushing the narrative and getting more people out there because now you're signaling, hey, this is what's going on. Come on out.
Yeah.
And that's what's interesting to me is you can't say we're just journalists if you're actually helping attract more people to the event.
Well, kind of, I guess. I mean, he did know, but he's not under any obligation to pick up the phone and say there's going to be an incident at this church. But there didn't need to be. We know he was an agitator because he was part of he wasn't an observer.
Right.
He was active in doing it.
That's what I'm saying. It's active, on time, you're there, you're pushing the narrative. Yeah, it's interesting reading through some of this stuff.
Some of these organizations, and according to Treasury Secretary Scott Bennett, He said the House Oversight Committee are investigating CCP influence operations that may fall within the purview of FAR 22 USC Code 611 and other federal laws. So they're looking to tie it to something, but I don't know how that would even be a stretch or hard. They've got documentation of the training manuals.
Do they?
Oh gosh, yeah, they've got the training manuals that show how to grab an ICE officer to keep him from arresting, how to park your car, honk horns, cause disruptions. It's all in the training manuals, and they put those out. And I would think that alone to put out training manuals to how people can break the law and get away with it should be some kind of liability right there.
And it's let's walk that line. There you've got the freedom of speech and the freedom to say what you want, but if it's directed now at a federal law enforcement official, and it's all based on that. Okay, now that's an interesting thing because then there should be culpability in it. You weren't using it for just
they're a party to a crime,
right? So, and now who's producing the manual? Not who funded it. Who's producing it?
I don't know, but I know it came from some of the organizations, and I don't know which one, whether it was a Socialism and Liberation Party or whether it was Code Pink or what. But the manuals. I mean, you can get them on X and stuff. They're all out there.
Crazy.
Yeah, it is, and it's in the open, and they feel, and just like that pretty that got shot, he felt like he was operating within his constitutional rights. It's just so misguided. You can't grab an ICE officer. Even if you think the ICE officer is out of line, you can't grab him and interfere with his duties. And the ICE officer was tangling with another woman and actually had thrown her in a snowbank and was going over to her to make an arrest, probably. And that's when Pretty jumped in and grabbed him and says, I'm a medic. I want to look at her first. And that's not his. That's not his call.
Not his call. No. Not the right time in, not the order of operations. Now, if she's under arrest and things are calm, sure.
Well,
there would be a point in that.
Well, they'll make a judgment on whether she needs medical.
Yeah.
But they always supply. You've seen those cop shows and everything else. Guy says, I'm hurt, and I say, okay, we'll call an ambulance. They do. They don't. They don't say shut up, suck it up, and throw them in a anything. They do.
And again, you think it's interesting how many viewpoints there's going to be for that both ways.
But you don't know this guy's credential. He walks up, says he's a nurse.
That's exactly it.
It could have been an assassin. You don't know. How's the police know?
You wouldn't. So it's easy to say that afterwards. But you think, how many flip sides to the coin are there? I mean, you talk about that one. But now, if I said, name the name of the female nurse who was killed just recently.
Pretty, you mean?
No, he wasn't female.
Oh, okay, female. I don't know.
Okay, we're going to let that go. And you're going to stew on that and let other listeners. But, there's intrigue and outrage and people chasing this down, and it's going to cause more riots. But who was the female nurse that was just killed and there was no outrage on that side? Female nurse, male nurse, similar but not similar circumstances, and one is a talking point and one isn't.
Yeah.
So, and then you go back to this, the money funneling from the nonprofits through the CCP, et cetera. Okay, we're building talking points, and if you look at the anger and angst that some of these protests have, who's responsible ultimately? You can't yell fire in a church. You can't yell fire in a theater. If you do, you're responsible for that action, right?
Of course. And those people are being arrested, but not in big numbers. If it was in big numbers, it would stop.
There you go. So I think what you're seeing here, that was intriguing to me. If you're following the money and you're going to finally start following the coordination, okay, maybe you have a real chance to stop this and get everybody back to, let's just talk to each other.
But if those things were happening in Texas, they would be arrested in big numbers because they have
in a flat second.
They've got cooperation from the government. They got cooperation. It says, not in our neighborhood. You're not going to break the law.
Well, isn't it interesting? It's the same city that was being burnt to the ground years and years ago.
Yeah.
It's the same hotbed. So if it's coordinated by this gentleman or other groups into the same city, you already know the propensity is there to have violent demonstrations.
Well, they're in Minnesota because they know they can get away with it.
There you go.
They know the governor's in their side and the mayor's on their side, and they don't care about the normal citizens and quality of life. And what happens in the long run is those cities pay a hefty economic penalty because businesses move out, businesses leave, and Minneapolis has raised their. I was watching a special on them the other day. They've raised their corporate tax so much. They just lost some of their last manufacturing and stuff. I mean, they're just all pulling out because you can't make money there.
Which is too bad because Minneapolis, a gorgeous city. The whole Twin City area. I mean, vibrant, amazing place. State's beautiful. I mean, great place to go travel to. I don't want to go there anymore.
Right.
It's just it's going to keep tourism away. Or do you and
Same
Helen
in California?
Yeah,
California's had so many pullouts, closing of refineries and stuff. That's damaging the city for today and the future.
Yeah,
beyond people's recollection and are living there. I mean, or beyond their estimation of what's living there. They think, well, we don't need that one. We don't need that one. We don't need that. Pretty soon, there's no one paying taxes.
Yeah, and when you have to say, you know what, we can't make it unless we raise taxes. So let's
That's
raise the taxes. Then more people leave. Now you got to raise the taxes. The only people who really get hurt are the ones that don't have the resources to leave.
Correct.
So in the long run, everybody who makes that decision is actually damaging the people they think they care about the most.
Right.
So, and again, it's too bad because, as a younger kid spending quite a bit of time up in, North Dakota and Minnesota, gorgeous place, fun stuff going up there. I mean, just lots of stuff to do. Man, some of the same places that you see now that the protesters are on the streets. Like, I remember going there.
But Minneapolis is all blaming, it's ice, 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 ice. Look around, guys. It's only happening in your city.
Right. Wait a minute. If it was ice, then how did it happen years ago under previous protests? How did government buildings get burnt to the ground and damaged? Remember the fires that you could see from miles away?
Yeah, they just let it burn.
Wait. There was no ice then. That wasn't what ice was about.
But it's their own taking care of business there with their police. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
I was watching the Ingram
thing
last night.
Ingram Angle.
Yes. And it's just the guys that were giving the signs to the people. They showed a man show up with a U-Haul pickup truck, and they started unloading signs, professionally printed signs.
Sure.
And it was a socialist association, which is bent in destroying Minneapolis.
Yeah, somebody's paying big money. I mean, you got some people out there paying big money for this stuff, and looks like CCP might be in on it.
I failed to get the full name, but I know the first name was Socialist something another, and that's one of them there, big time. And the reason I still feel the reason that Waltz and the mayor allowed this to happen because they're covering the fraud in the city.
Yeah, I mean that's a speculation that's shared by many that the same with Elon Omar and stuff that they're trying to cover. She's trying to be a victim now. She was attacked with apple cider vinegar.
Apple cider vinegar.
So
I wonder if that was a stunt to begin with.
Well, that's the common opinion out there. I mean, it seems to be the majority opinion out there on social media. No one's, but there is a guy arrested. I wonder what he thinks about it.
Oh yeah, it was very theatrical the way. It looked pretty authentic getting smacked down on the ground.
No, it didn't. They handled him pretty gently, and he backed into the security guard like he was like, "Well, where are you? You're supposed to grab me now." That's
exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. But it's all about when you get caught with a briefcase full of $1 million, right? That Somalian woman.
Which one?
She was trying to. I don't know. I can't pronounce her name.
Oh, okay.
The briefcase full of money.
That the banana and rice girl or something.
Yeah, I thought that was AOC.
No.
About the banana girl, yeah.
Okay.
There's been a couple of them, right? A few of them with lots of
There's been a
money.
lot of suitcases of cash go through TSA that they let go, but yeah, there's been one or two that then they can't explain where the money comes, and TSA is not allowed to ask that question. I guess they just have to, you declared it, so you can go.
Yeah, but up to a certain amount of money, right?
I think
no.
I think so. I mean, TSA $10,000.
That's what I was thinking. $10,000.
Yeah, what you can carry across the borders and stuff. I'm not completely sure on that, but I always thought that was a case.
Russ, you go try. Go get a suitcase full of cash and go try.
Yeah.
I'd love
so
to, man.
What I want to know, Russ, you that know everything, and who's your guest today?
Oh, this is Derek Egbert. He's always in here on Fridays. Yeah.
Right. All those kids that are taking day off school.
Yeah.
Are we going to take money away? Because we pay for each student so much money a day, right?
Yeah. If they fall below a certain level, I mean, there is a tolerance that you're not going to be counted as a student if you don't achieve so many days. And I don't know what those days are, but there is a requirement.
I thought that if they, yeah, I know that. You're right. So I just curious. All those students that are leaving, that we're paying for them to be there, taxpayers are getting screwed, huh?
Well, it's really hard to get a student to leave. Say you don't have to go to school today. That would be a tough duty.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, all those students that are leaving, we should get reimbursed, huh?
Well, the way things work now, they could probably say I was working from home because that's allowed in most districts
Right.
to say, yeah, you're on the computer, so your time at home counts as attendance. Yes.
So I'm wondering if the school board allowed that to happen. They knew they were going on strikes. The school board said, "Yeah, Inagata, you're good. You're good to go. Go ahead and leave."
That depends on the school board. That depends on the makeup. So you got a lot of liberals out there in that type of profession. Yeah.
And that's why we have to get our acts together this midterm.
Yeah.
We need all those people out of there.
Well, I think we should have that convention. The Republican convention coming up. I'm looking forward to that. I think and it's going to be new and all that. I think it'll make a difference.
When's it's going to happen? Arizona Republican convention?
No, this is Donald Trump nationwide. They're looking at 5 cities right now, according to the article I read. One of them is Phoenix, Arizona.
Wow.
Las Vegas, Dallas, Atlanta, Phoenix. Yeah.
Right. So what's your feelings? I forgot what state it was that they are not going to allow ICE at a polling during voting.
It's just political wrangling. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, ICE, they say, okay, ICE can't be in raid church services. Well, that was already a deal. You're not allowed. You can't do that. So it's just the Democrats trying to look for outrage.
Well, that's what they're trying to cause.
Yeah.
They're very good at that, and I believe there's a lot of communists in the Democratic Party that's causing this. And they're getting a lot of money from, like you said, China.
I think ICE officers need to stay 75 feet away.
Like everybody else.
And the irony is when you listen to that interview, okay, why would ICE be there except to gather up anybody who is illegal and not a citizen by nature? Which means if you're not a citizen, you cannot vote. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. So the only people it would affect is people who could be there, who don't have a purpose to be there, who are trying to vote illegally.
Yeah. And I think I should say 75 feet away. That should be enough.
Perfect.
Well, that's what
Problem
rules
solved.
are.
Right.
All of us are.
Well, I saw a hearing yesterday on TV, and this guy was asking, I forgot who it was. Again, I was too busy doing other stuff, but should illegals have the right to vote? And they would not answer. A lot of word salad.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't commit one way or another. That's what we're dealing with.
Yeah,
That's
there's
what
some
we're
things they're
getting.
not allowed to say out loud. Now, you get them into a private conversation, it'll be different.
Right. All right, Russ, I got a lot of stuff to keep on doing out there. So
See
catch
you,
you in the
buddy.
rebound.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mr. Gilbert this morning on that. Do you think DHS Secretary Kristi Noem should be fired?
No.
There's people calling for it. In fact, even a couple of Republicans in the Senate.
You know, it's interesting when people need and sometimes there is a figurehead that needs to go. Sometimes there is accountability. Like, again, if you look at the breadth and depth and width of the fraud in Minnesota, does Walsh need to go?
Of course.
Yes. Okay. If you're going to point to what happened in Minnesota with, the young man who lost his life for whatever reason, that's not the reason to have Noam go. Clearly, that's an incident that you can go back and review. So, no, I don't think so. Now, if you say, was the head of the area removed, and now you have Holman down in Minnesota?
Yeah, but that was done for political calming. It wasn't because they thought Bovine was doing anything. In fact, they put him back in El Centro.
Correct. But what you did is now you relieved the pressure and you moved somebody elsewhere and brought in another one.
It's a good move.
It was. No, that's outrage of the left not having anything else. Let's find a scapegoat and let's get rid of somebody who's actually doing good.
Yeah, they did see a wedge issue that they can rally some people on, and they say it's just outrageous. It's outrageous that a guy got shot. I agree with them. It is outrageous.
It is.
I'm not blaming the ICE officers. I'm blaming the whole situation of training these agitators, and then these agitators run amok, and this guy being really crazy. And we know that from video. We've seen that how aggressive he is, and his hatred towards ICE and all that stuff.
And again, if look, peaceful protest. I think everybody should be able to peacefully protest. The sheer fact that you're going to go up to an SUV that's driving away, kick it, bang it, damage the property. You saw the taillight getting ripped off when he kicked it with his shoe or boot or whatever it is. Okay, you're not there to peacefully protest. You're actually damaging, causing harm, and getting in the way of a legal authority doing their job. Okay, that's a problem.
Right.
So
that absolutely is. And the shooting was unfortunate.
Very.
And a lot of it, according to the reports I've read, that a lot of that shooting was even spurred on not just by the chaos situation, the loud whistles, the screaming. They found a gun, which put them on edge. They pulled the gun away, but that gun discharged. And all I know is they were being shot at.
Right.
And they didn't, and this guy was still fighting and reaching for something in his back pocket, pulled out a phone. He had a phone in his hand. But you can't tell in that millisecond.
No.
Especially when people are yelling gun, 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 gun.
Right. And clearly one went off.
Yeah. This guy was just, he was doing what we went there to do, is fight.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's really terrible. But Kristi Noem right now had to go, and she went on a show to talk about the fact that she's being asked to resign. She said, these radicals are attacking me, but I'm just doing my job. I'm following the law, enforcing the laws like President Trump promised that he would do to keep people safe in this country. And I think that's a fair assessment.
I do too.
Several prominent Democrats have recently called for her removal, but that's like what they do daily.
Yeah.
Just for being Democrats.
There's got to be a removal. There's got to be an impeachment. There's got to be something.
Because they don't like Trump's policies.
Right.
So they want to create this for, fever all the time. John Fetterman was one of them, which was weird because Fetterman's the only one I trust as he's speaking his own mind. Not that I trust it. I agree with him.
And isn't it interesting because he was the guy that most of the Democrats and Republicans wanted to get out of there a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how, it's like those 5 clacker balls that, the pendulum swings way one way and then comes back and connects, and the one on the right side goes the other way. It's like Fetterman has been the scourge of the Democrats because he went with the Republicans on a few things. Now, some of the Republicans, he's that firebrand that people need to watch.
Well, he's honest to himself.
Yes.
I don't agree with most of his policies. He's very progressive on a lot of his voting, But he'll say enough of the nonsense. We shouldn't go a walkout. We shouldn't shut down the government and stuff. He speaks his own mind regardless of what Nancy Pelosi tells him to do.
Well, he's bigger than she is.
But then, California Gavin Newsom is for it. But Gavin Newsom, I can't trust anything he says because it's all politically motivated.
Yeah,
Everything.
he has to be against everything the administration or the president does, and that's.
See, at least I trust Fetterman, and he's speaking for himself. Fetterman, I mean, Newsom.
Well, that's how Newsom gets airtime.
Man.
As long as he's negative with absolutely everything else. I mean, let's be brutally honest. Why did he have any talking points for Davos? Why is he even in the news when it comes to the World Economic Forum?
Now, Fetterman said, Americans have died. She's betraying DHS core mission and trashing your border security legacy. Do not make the mistake President Biden made for not firing a grossly incompetent DHS secretary. That's Fetterman. I believe that's what he thinks. I don't think that's a talking point he was handed.
I would agree with that. I think that's probably his language.
Newsom, I don't trust him
No.
to say anything that he believes. I don't know what he does believe other than he wants
Well, it depends on which group he's
he wants
talking
more
to.
power.
Yeah.
Hakeem Jeffries, of course. But these guys are just, well, what does Trump want? Okay, then I'm against it.
Yeah.
I know, whatever. But then you got Tom Tillis, Republican, and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, which Murkowski's her own person. She's who knows.
Yeah, I would expect it more from her. I'm intrigued why
Tillis.
Tillis is
I
talking.
don't know. I don't know. It's unfortunate. Christy Noman has said that clearly there's a history there of attacking our law enforcement officers and CBP and ICE officers, which there is. And Trump is still standing by and says she's doing a very good job of securing the border, which is true. And keep in mind, she's the lead dog.
Yes.
She's given the barking orders. And nowhere did she say, to my knowledge, start shooting people. I mean, that incident happened because it was situational, because we're in Minnesota and they have allowed these agitators to go nuts. And some of them have just stepped out of bounds.
And in my view, because again, you and I are armchair quarterbacking this from 2,000 miles away, you have ICE agents that are going to enforce the law that it is illegal to be within the United States the way some of these people are, correct?
Right.
Okay, so check mark. I'm enforcing the laws that are on the books, and I'm going to do it under the authority of the law. And you have people who are programming other people through violence and inciting riots, if you will. Let's not call them a protest, call it a riot. You're inciting anger against people who are following the law as we've written it with the United States of America. Okay, if you don't like it, change the law. However, just be ready that you're going to have to pay all of the items that are coming up, which it's baffling to me how some of these people can fight against ICE when you want the law to work for you when it's for you. You know, you can't have it both ways.
Well, and Noam talks about that a lot. And she says, I'm grateful that the president had the wisdom to send Tom Homan here to have conversations again to see if he can get the leaders of Governor Walz and Mayor Frey to commit to honoring our detainers and keeping our officers safe while they do their work. We've been asking them to do this for months. They've refused to agree, with hoping that Tom has the opportunity to restart those conversations and see if we can get them to help clean up the streets of Minneapolis. I don't think it's Tom necessarily that got him to do. I mean, he's a change, but I think Trump had some negotiations about something. I have no idea. But
No
there's
idea, but
there's
I
a
can imagine it.
there's something going on at play because they made some wild changes in Minneapolis as far as letting the officers hand over criminal aliens from the jails.
Well, and I think that was the chess move. It was set, and that came out 2 days ago, where they said, okay, stop. We won't just walk the streets, if you will. And I know that's not what was said. Just give us the people who you've already convicted, who are in prison or jail. So clearly, even you and your jurisdictions have deemed them criminals.
Yeah.
Cool. Give me those people. Let's get them out first.
But they've asked that forever, and they've been a sanctuary city and have said no.
Right. But
so this is a big move.
But it's that negotiation. If you're going to go look at a used car, Russ, when you go, if the car is listed for 10 grand and you're the buyer, what do you offer?
Less than that.
Cool. So what do you offer? Just play with me here for a second.
9 if it's worth it. I
Okay,
don't know.
so now you've set the floor. You know the minimum you're going to go, and I know the maximum I'm going to get if I own the car for 10 grand. Now it's just the negotiation in between. So you went in, you asked for all of this stuff. And now you pull back and say, okay, only give us the people that you, the Democrat-controlled area, have deemed criminals. How could they say no? They lost that negotiation.
They've been
when they
saying
did
no
that.
for years, man.
Right. But now that you said, okay, we won't go after anybody else other than the people you convicted, the talking point to the Democrats on that side is awful, because now you're only going after people who are in prison.
Well, and we've got a lot of negotiations going on with Schumer and Trump. They've been spending a lot of time together to get past the funding thing on DHS,
which is a problem.
And Schumer's asking for, other projects to be funded and stuff. And I have no idea what they are, but there's going to be something out there, that's at play.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. But Trump has no choice, because there's 7 Republicans that in a test vote voted against the funding. So he's got to.
It'll be interesting to see how that actually plays out on the official vote.
Don't know. We'll know the story eventually. We got to take a break. We'll be right back.
To be a part of Russ's show, call 928-344-5258. That's 928-344-5258. Are you looking for a new car? Well, we don't have it. How about a new cell phone? Don't have that either. At Firearms Unknown, we don't mix what we don't know with what we do know. We know firearms, knives, and ammo. So, if you know what you want, or even if you don't, Firearms Unknown can get you what you need. We have rifle, pistol, and shotgun deals starting at $9.99 for all 3. Deals on guns and ammo, and the largest knife section around, with the knowledge to set you up right. Firearms Unknown, 801 West 32nd Street, or firearmsunknown.com. Now you know. Hey, y'all, mark your calendar and get ready to experience the flavors and fun of New Orleans right here in Yuma. Alexander Toyota, Burgers and Beer, Carnes Law, and Fort Yuma Rotary presents Yuma's favorite, Mardi Gras on Main, Friday, February 13th from 5 to 11 p.m. with Eric Sage's Ultimate Rock Show and lots of vendors. So grab y'all's beads and head out to Main Street. It's Mardi Gras time. All proceeds raised help Fort Yuma Rotary's community projects.
Also brought to you in part by Core Engineering, Better Business Bureau, and Main Street Physical Therapy. We'll have some pretty strong winds through the weekend, but temperatures warming up nicely. 80 and sunny today, north wind at 10 to 15, clear and 52 tonight. Sunny and 82 tomorrow, north wind at 10 to 15, clear and 53 tomorrow night. And then for Sunday, partly cloudy, 81, not quite as windy, 51 Sunday night.
What's up, Yuma, and hello, Russ Clark Show listeners. Johnny Porter here, and I just made the switch to Allo Fiber, and it's a game changer. Lightning fast speeds for streaming, working from home, and gaming. No buffering or slowed down speeds. It's time to ditch the glitch and switch to Allo Fiber.
Listen to KBLU from 8 to 9 every Monday morning to Life, Death, and the Law. Sean Garner and Adam Hansen discuss estate planning options. Learn how you can plan your estate using a will or trust to protect your family and secure your legacy. That's Life, Death, and the Law every Monday, 8 to 9 a.m. on 560 KBLU.
There's a man in D.C. He stands 6'3". He's fighting for you and for me. He'll drain that.
AM 560 KBLU. Russ Clark with you, as well as Derek. He's here.
Good morning.
I got to read something to you.
Please do.
Listener wrote, I don't know if Trump is a good speaker, but he needs to get the independent voters. The MAGA base will vote for him blindly, which I disagree with. I think they're more aware and more, I think they're more educated than most. He's losing the independent vote, which will decide the election. Now, that's not what the polls show. The polls show his popularity has not changed at all, really, from when he was elected.
The last one, I don't know the numbers, so I'm
I don't know. It was in the 40s.
I thought it was 44, 45.
Yeah, 45. But that's where it's always been.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't been an increase. It hasn't been a decrease. And a lot of people are looking at, well, it's a decrease because of all the problems, but it hasn't been because he's done exactly what he said he was going to do.
And that's what he was voted in for.
Yeah, exactly. At the moment, and what's something that may be happening, though, the Democrats are becoming more angry, and that's saying something because they stay angry, and they may be more motivated to vote. But I think people that voted for Trump overall are very satisfied that he's doing what he said he was going to do.
Yeah.
At the moment, they are favoring the Democrats. Sins of the father, dumb comment. do we need to blame Europeans for forcing Indians into slavery and when they started dying for? I'm against the sins of the father thing. Well, but there was a listener that said sins of the father. And in this nation, in our Constitution and stuff, you can't go to jail for your father's debts.
Right.
You just can't. And what race hasn't committed atrocities? True. Probably all of them. Yeah. The heck with the Old Testament. Really? Maybe time to stop sugarcoating it. Trump is messing up, and if 7 senators are voting against the funding. Yeah, there's a problem if there's 7 senators doing that. I don't.
And again, like you talk about,
It needs to be paid attention to.
What's the reasoning behind it? Again,
I imagine they all have an individual difference.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to hear what their talking points publicly are. I would be more intrigued to hear what their private thoughts are. Because half the time what you and I hear is the CNN hot button, Fox News, here's the quick take. It's not really what they're saying, but it's what they need to say publicly.
Melanie's asking an interesting question.
Okay.
If silver and gold are the big money makers and safer to have than the dollar, then how come companies are selling them? That's a great question.
You're not wrong. And although I think the companies that are selling them probably don't have the warehouse full of money to store them. They're paid on transactions and they're making their fees over spot, if you will.
Yeah, a lot of them are in the business of buying and selling.
Yeah.
So they'll offer somebody 5% off and sell it immediately.
Right.
And make 5%.
Well, again, you go to a restaurant and they have to pay for their food cost and they buy the food and they do the stuff and they turn around and sell it and make some money and it's a continual business. The company you and I are buying them from.
And they're playing the market and maybe it's up and they think it's going to go down eventually. Well, who knows?
If you went to some of the, and I've looked here in Yuma, I've looked in Phoenix, you look at some of the gold and silver aggregators, they're not buying right now.
Oh, no.
Or they'll offer you 60 to 70% of
really
what. Oh, yeah. Go try to sell something right now to any one of them, and you're probably going to be offered 70 cents on the dollar of where gold or silver is because of that tension in the market of is it going to drop? Is it not going to drop?
It's raised so much.
Correct.
If somebody was hanging on to it for the last few years, you've done well.
Done real well.
Yeah, that's a good deal. I saw this video. It was interesting.
Oh, geez.
Video of a bystander at the Atlanta airport. Somebody broke through TSA, knocked a TSA agent down, and ran through another one.
Saw that.
And an innocent bystander
flat tackled him.
Picked him up, body slammed him a little bit, which was kind of guy's name Mark Thomas that did the body slamming. But this 40-year-old Fabian Leon decided he was going to rush through TSA and not stop and not be charged. And somebody yelled breach, one of the TSA agents.
Mm-hmm.
So this Mark, I guess he had no hesitation. He turned around, grabbed the guy like he was an MMA guy and slammed into the ground.
It was a good video.
Oh, it was fun. Yeah. He lifted him down. Mark said, I saw him knock over the first dude, and then the TSA agent tried to grab him. Once he was going past me, I was like, okay, I'll just take it over if I can.
Right.
He said, a bystander was watching, says the perpetrator, Fabian, that got tackled, he said he was very soft-spoken. He just kept saying, I'm okay. Let me up. I'm okay. It's like kind of clear that he was sort of detached at the moment. Now, he told officers that he consumed alcohol and taken drugs. Really? That's such a surprise. Oh, who would think?
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought that? That you decide to lose your mind and run through TSA, knock a guy
Probably
down.
not a good place to do.
Where are you going to run to that you're going to get away with? I mean, where are you going?
Yeah,
it's you're kind of trapped in the building right now.
Well,
it's not like
maybe he was hoping his flight was just about to leave.
It's not like you're going to have a high speed. Yeah, you're not going to get on it. It's not like you're going to have a high speed chase somewhere. Yeah. You're not that fast, and you got Mark Thomas watching you, who has some MMA training. Maybe
he's a big guy.
he said, I think more police presence should have probably been there. See, you don't need it. He's not going anywhere.
No, and look, kudos to everybody who's doing their job the way they need to, but I mean, traveling in the airports is just not fun anymore.
I don't like it.
I mean, Have you ever been this is way off topic, but have you ever been in the airport and you're already past security, you're past screening, and the audio comes on that says, please don't accept things from other people and don't possess a firearm, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Okay, why do you have to remind me not to have a firearm past TSA? Because I couldn't have gotten it past
There's still
TSA.
trash cans you could dump it. Yeah. Oh yeah, you couldn't get it.
How would you get it past them for crying out loud?
You're already home free if you're there.
That's like the white zone is for. Okay,
it's good though. They need to keep telling you the rules. That's okay. I don't mind. But you're right. You're not going to.
How would you get it past the 27 guys and gals in blue through the metal detector and the X-ray machines and
Yeah.
So
Trump is suing the IRS. Did you know that?
$10 billion.
You do know that. Well, you
come on,
read.
Russ.
Come on, man. How do you have time
Who
doing
are
all
you
these,
talking to right here?
doing all these mortgages and
Yeah,
stuff?
$10 billion for illegally releasing his tax returns or allowing it to have happened by an employee.
I'm kind of surprised. Trump surprises everybody a lot. Me too. But there was a guy, Charles Littleton, that did the deed. He was working as a contractor, and he purposely gathered all this information, not only Trump's
but
records, but families and businesses and all that kind of stuff, and dropped them off at the New York Times and Politico as their pro, or ProPublica, whatever that is.
Yep.
And he's doing 5 years. Probably not enough, but he's doing 5 years. So he's suing the IRS for $10 billion because
and the Treasury. It was both of them
because he thinks that they were incompetent. They weren't doing a good job. I don't know. I mean, there was illegal activity by an employee that was not caught, and unfortunately,
well, hold on, employer contractor.
Yeah, and contractor.
Okay, so again, it's kind of that. Can you yell fire in a church if you're the causation of it? So it's an interesting legal argument that you allowed a contractor to be in the sensitive data, and you then allowed the mechanism for it to be removed. And there is some culpability there. I don't know if it's $10 billion.
What's the rationale of him suing for $10 billion? What is it? Why is he doing it?
Well, from my little seat on the bus over here in Yuma, Arizona, I think you're proving a point that it was done against you.
Yeah.
B, there is a mechanism for that to have happened. It was illegal by nature. Number 2 or 3, whichever it is. Okay, there's an organization that allowed it to happen. So you and I know there were bad apples within the organization, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this sends the signal to everybody else. But I think it's also, hey guys, you came after me with absolutely everything, so I'm going to come after you. And this is going to be a very public spectacle. And I think Trump does a lot of it in public to prove it's that chess match.
I mean, is he looking for more money for his library or something?
I don't think so. I think it's
of course he sued CBS for $10 billion, didn't he?
Sure.
He didn't get
and settled. But what's his book? The Art of the Deal, right?
Yeah.
Okay. He's going in looking for this. It's going to be a public spectacle. And even if they negotiate it down to 10 million, you still won and you still proved your case. And hopefully you fix the mechanism that doesn't. I mean, would you be pissed if your tax returns got leaked to damage you?
Sure.
Great. But you don't have the resources to fight against the institution that did it. There's the other thing is I think you've got 1 or 2 people on the planet that have the resources to fight against that institution.
Yeah. And that's not an easy job to because they're immune to a lot of that stuff anyway.
Right.
But I don't know what he's trying to do, but he's trying to make a point. There's no question. It's not about the money.
No, but when it hits all the major news networks, I think he is making the public point, and you're shining a spotlight on something that should never happen.
And being an IRS agent is not a popular thing. So suing the IRS, most people say, yeah, sue them, they don't deserve it, but it's our money.
Yeah, it is, and that's where there's an interesting thing, and you and I know it's not $10 billion.
No, it can't. It won't.
But if it happened to Trump, how many other tax returns got leaked for one reason or another?
I would imagine there's many that do. I don't know, but I can't believe he's the only one that's ever happened.
I can't believe it would be the singular time that it ever happened. And I think this is also that public.
If you're going to leak one and you leak Trump's, you're really putting yourself out there because because he's such a high profile, you're not going to get away with that.
Yeah.
There's going to be people investigating and all that stuff. And it looks like you got people joining you today. George, maybe?
I guess.
We're gonna take a break and we'll be back. With these money guys, AM 560.
There's a man in D.C. He stands 6'3". He's fighting for you. He's fighting for me. He'll drink that old song, just like he said. He'll make America great again.